was really a great session, and so we've heard about visualization, microscopes, foot pedals, and chairs, and I think the last piece of this is the surgical bed. I haven't tried, 10 different surgical beds. This is the one that we use. But one of the nice things about the meeting is you can go to the booth and see these things for yourself. It's much better than looking at it in a slide presentation. So what's important here is efficiency, but comfort and also safety. And although this is going to focus on the surgeon, this one really impacts patient comfort, and that in turn impacts their cooperation with the operation. So we'd love to have something that's easy for people to get onto and off. We want to minimize the number of transfers that have to be done. We want them to be comfortable for the entire time they're sitting here, which includes dilation, waiting, operating, and then obviously an adjustable headrest. From the nursing standpoint, there's so much repetitive motion to crank things up and down or pump things up and down. So again, reducing transfers is important. Trying to motorize some of these tasks that otherwise are just cranking this way and cranking that way. So they have something called an E-drive motor. And then here's the topic of this session, it's the surgeon ergonomics. And I think what's important here is that just like with a slit lamp in the patient, we want to get as close to the field, as close to the head as possible, and then we need good arm and wrist support. And it turns out that if you can do this all with the surgical bed, it's kind of a triple win because every single one of these parties is important. So this is like some other beds, one that it's really meant to do everything. The patient basically sits down and gets off like on a chair, and then in between they don't have to move, and everything is motorized. That's a German company. We were actually the third facility in the US to use their product. This was back in 2005, at which point I was a little worried about, well, how would I get it serviced if they're in Germany? But this is now their installations throughout the United States. This is my ASC, where we have 8 of these beds. We only have 2 operating rooms, but the patient literally stays there the whole time. Now this is really a key element. It's basically you can have memory settings. You press one button, and this is where they're going to be for the surgery. This is where they're going to be for a recovery area. This is where they want to be for their pre-op as they're being dilated. And so it's a stored memory, but then obviously you have individual controls over back and neck and footrest and so forth. So that's really important. Now, one of the unique features is this thing is so sturdy, it can hold up to the 400-pound patient that we will all occasionally get, but it does it without this sort of diagonal head strut. So many of the chairs or tables that I looked at, the head is so heavy, the shoulders, and you need some type of brace that goes along there. And what is going to go underneath there? It's my knees. So if I want to get really close, the fact that, and I'm sorry, there's a microscope, but between here, which is the base, and here, which is the head, it's all cut out. So this is me coming real close with my knees going right underneath it, and it's really this carved out profile that's so nice. There is this locking mechanism so that I can articulate the head. It's not just tilt forward and up, but back up and down. So that is there. And it's kind of neat. You can actually raise or lower the headrest or tilt it. I can do this with my feet by using these little joysticks, as well as doing it. The nurse can also, the anesthesiologist could do that with that little remote. But you see the carved out design here, and this is the entire weight of the entire patient is just on this one post. So that's really kind of unique. So this is again showing my legs going here. They have a number of different headrests, and I think that's really important because we all have different preferences for how we hold our hands. But the other thing is, unlike a gurney, which is kind of a rectangle, you can see that it's carved out here so that the minimum amount necessary to support the neck is there, and that's this bottom row. And then this is a wrist rest that I designed with them, and I believe it's called the Chang wrist rest, but that's okay, I have no financial interest. But it's attached by Velcro, And it's a little well that holds the patient's head, but this is also my surgical platform. So here's the patient in the operating room, and they come in, and here's the Velcro. So then we attach this with the little towel, and the head fits right in there. So it does a couple things. It keeps the head from moving, first of all, but secondly, it's flat, and I can put instruments on there that don't roll off. And it's designed so that you're pretty much right at the eye level for a temporal, also superior surgery, but most of us operate temporally. So here you can see how my wrists are there as I'm doing an incision, and you know, I put a towel here to collect the fluid, but it gives me good wrist support without really having to worry about being too far away from the head. This is just a couple different angles showing my wrists in different positions. Then at the end, this is the drape, and there's this little drape bar that loops up. So when we don't use a body drape, we just use a 10-30 cut in half that I'm putting in the speculum, and this tense it up. And then if you look over here, it's connected to the O2 is just flowing in through here through the O2 bar connection. So this does two things. It delivers O2 to the patient, but also tense up the little drape. And at the end, the surgery's over, I just peel that off, and so my wrist rest is gone. And so then when the patient sits up, the head is rotating back out of the way, and you don't have this bulky wrist rest. This is their fourth generation. We started with their first, and this is one of the key features which we just love. It's called the E-Drive. And you can push and pull these, and they're very easy to do, but they have now automated it with a little joystick that you operate with your thumb. So this is the end of the case, and this is my anesthesiologist driving the bed, not pushing it, but driving it into the recovery area. So this is enormous because it means we free up one person, we don't need two. Secondly, there's no issue with your staff becoming injured. And it's just really, really smooth. So this is the patient now. You press another memory button, and here they are in the post-op area. And this is again showing, in our surgery center how many we have. They have a number of different chairs. There are two different kinds. You should check those out. This is very, but this is their top of the line chair. So this is, I guess, their premium line, which was one group of products, and that's what we have at our surgery center in Silicon Valley. This is another line which is a little less premium, a little more economical, both the chair and the bed. And if you're kind of, like on a low budget like Jules Stein Institute here, that becomes an option, I guess, for you there. But anyway, I think these are the things that we want to think about. And it was a big purchase for us back in 2005 when we were opening our current surgery center. But if I multiply by whatever it is, 6,000-7,000 patients a year at our two-room center, and how much time I'm operating and how much time our staff is maneuvering this around, and how many minutes our patients are lying on this thing, the ability to have everybody be comfortable, I think, has really been a priceless addition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chang. I would agree. We use these beds. We've used them for about 8 years, and they are outstanding. I thank everyone for coming. I think this is a very important session. Like I said, I've experienced this myself, and the last thing you want to experience is radiculopathy running down your neck and your arms. It's painful, it hurts, and it's no fun. So everything you can do to avoid it, I think, better for your career. Thank you.